This is where we fly stunt guys. We could make them go across like on wires.
The movie feels so big in scope.
So great.
It's crazy to think that it was all filmed
shot here.
It's so
Have you seen
crazy.
this?
I haven't taken the tour yet.
You're not gonna believe it. That's what makes it kind of exciting. If you're a film buff, you'll like that about it, that it's about filmmaking in a way. This is what we do as filmmakers. When we see on set all day, you know, we're talking here, but we see, no, there's a camera guy there, there's a guy there monitoring sound, and we're here pretending like they're not there.
Kier Gomes with Joe Blow. We're here in Austin, Texas at Troublemaker Studios with Robert Rodriguez and Sons. This is Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Texas, home to one of the most famous film directors of all time, Robert Rodriguez. How are you guys doing?
Great, how you doing?
This gigantic plot of land stands as a one-stop shop for Rodriguez and his family to make their movies. Hell, I even got to walk the scrapyard from Iron City and Alita Battle Angel. And, I don't want to brag, but I met Alita herself. This place has thousands of iconic props used in movies that we've seen, from Sin City, Spy Kids, From Dusk Till Dawn, and so many more. It comes complete with its own costume department, as well as special effects and VFX department, and an ADR booth and a room to compose music in. Not to mention an on-site movie theater, which I got to see Hypnotic in last night.
You're perfectly normal.
How are you guys doing?
Great, how you doing?
Awesome.
So, I got to see Hypnotic last night here in the studio. And I really, really enjoyed it. I love the Hitchcockian kind of, you know, the very twisty, I guess is a good way to put it. Yeah. You mentioned last night when you were introducing the film that this was something you had kind of conceived during Spy Kids 2, right? When you were editing Spy Kids 2.
20 years ago, yeah.
So being, you know, I guess over 20 years in the making, did you kind of know where you wanted it to start and where you wanted it to end and everything in between? Or was it kind of I'm going to start with this idea I have about a man who never gets caught and then kind of see where the story takes me?
I had a lot of this key sequences, the bank, some big set pieces, a couple of set pieces that didn't make it that I really loved, that just didn't fit the story later, as we crafted the story later. But the scissor scene was still in it. Things like some of the big set pieces, and then some of the ideas of a character who was just so driven. He didn't need to be hypnotic. You just tell you, sit your ass down. You would sit down.
Yeah.
So then he was kind of like Hypnotic because he was so driven. And then there's people who have an ability to convince people to do things. But the big twist at the end, I always had a big twist, but then there's a, you know, extra twist that I didn't come up with till like 2015. I had to kind of be alive a little bit longer. Had more, you know, a different kind of an ending. And then as I lived, I said, oh, you know what? I want this ending to happen. I want a different ending. I want a different feel. So I changed, came up with some extra things.
I think I'm ready for duty.
Do you feel ready?
I think it's the only thing keeping me sane.
I want to say how much I love that too, because you get an ending and then you get that little extra ending, and it completely changes things.
Yeah, every twist gets to change things. We don't usually get to do like a triple backflip.
Yeah, it was very, there were so many levels to it, which I really, really appreciated. What was it like, you guys working together? I know that this is not the first time you've worked together, but what was it like creating this as a family?
Yeah, well, that had a lot to do with it too, you know, just the whole family aspect of it. We really wanted that to shine through. But,
exactly.
What did you all think of the
exactly.
process?
Yeah, it's such a crazy process, you know, being 5 years old when he first wrote this 20-some years ago.
Wow.
And hearing whispers of it throughout the years, because he'd always tell us whispers of the projects, and we go, yeah, that's a cool idea. And then go through the years to where it becomes, now we're working together as adults, and he's like, hey, remember that movie Hypnotic? Yeah. Hands a script in your hand, go, could you help me with some notes on this? Let's figure it out together because we're going to shoot it. Wow, no way. And he hadn't even started composing it at this point. A few more years passed, like, hey, you're going to compose the score. Let's go over the scripts so we can figure out the musical scenes.
But yeah, no, it's like, I mean, it was so mythical by that point. So when they came to me and were like, hey, we're actually making it happen, it was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, what's it about? Can I read it? I mean, it was like because all you had to do was a word. It's got a great, I mean, it's a great title, Hypnotic. It's like, what does that mean? And he'd tell us ideas over the years, but yeah, it really just stuck with me as a kid. And so when it was finally coming to life, it just felt like, I don't know, the myth was born. And so we were all very passionate about it, very excited to do it.
I love that. I absolutely, and I think it shows too, because everything is so cohesive in this movie. It does have a very Hitchcock flavor. The score, incredible. Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that you learned music theory off of YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes. So I was very much
That should
self-taught.
inspire everyone out there, because I was composing forever and I never knew music theory.
Like, Father, this is a
How
true
did-
rebel without a crew
How did you learn?
here.
And he said, through YouTube. I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so incredible what you can do with it now. I mean, I love that there's, you can go listen to music on there, Spotify and all that stuff. There's streaming. I mean, there's so many ways to listen to scores that are way before your time, and now all the newer stuff. I mean, it's such an incredible teaching tool in that regard, and there's so many great, knowledgeable people out there that it's just, if you've got the passion for it, you can really go out and just kind of learn this stuff and figure it out. So
Totally.
it was really cool.
That's amazing. And Robert, for you, the movie feels so big in scope.
Oh, great.
It's
Great.
crazy to
Great.
think that it was all
All
filmed
shot here.
It's so
Have you seen
crazy.
this-
I haven't taken the tour yet.
You're not
I'm the
gonna
next
believe it.
group. I
No.
cannot wait. I'm so
Even the
excited.
border crossing was right out front.
What's the call?
I'm calling to report a bank robbery.
Is this crime currently in progress?
Today.
See that guy on the bench?
Do you have a lighter?
That guy's up to something. It's very hot today. It's like a furnace.
The idea in your head must have been huge, because the scope of the movie, the scope of the story seems big and yet so intimate. What was it like kind of having to work on a shorter shooting schedule, kind of having to guerrilla filmmake your way through this thing? What was that
It
like?
was so fun. Ends up being, I wanted to make it in the Hitchcock style. I ended up becoming very, very particular towards Psycho, because that was where he was tired of the bloated movies and he wanted to go do something really fast and loose with his TV crew, and just crank that thing out. So it ended up being more like how he shot Psycho. But my thing was always been to shoot sort of mid-range budget movies, but just have really big ideas in them, so that the idea was bigger than the budget that you had, so that it could be scalable. If you're blessed with a huge budget, it still works because the idea is big. If you have a low budget, the idea is still big. So it'll feel like a big movie, even though you're using $2 tricks most of the time to show, like, you're not really sitting in that seat. Edit, oh, you're in the other office. It's like that. It's like that simple. But it blows people's minds because the idea is so big, and the idea is reverberating in their head. So that's kind of a Hitchcock, very sleight of hand kind of thing that I love. That's very Rebel Without a Crew. Rebel Without a Crew is about how to make mariachi, which was made with popsicle sticks and rubber bands. It's really the idea that's propelling that thing forward, not the budget, not the shots, not the. So I realized the power of the idea, which you would love to know goes back to just you with a pen. Drawing out an idea is the most powerful thing you can have. So many people are focused back then on budget. Oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have the right camera. They're thinking about process instead of what's the big idea that's going to get people excited. So it helps you focus more on that, because you don't have a production anymore. COVID just shut most of that down. It helps you actually focus more on what you're putting in front of the camera. That's why I brought back in an old scene from this. I gave him the old scripts to read, the old versions that I originally wrote, and he said, you should bring this scissors scene back. The scissors scene is really cool. And it's like, it's true, it's because it's all sleight of hand. It's like, right, action, the scissors are in your hand. Wait, cut. Okay, now the scissors aren't in your hand. It'll make sense in the editing.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
It almost has like that, when you explain it like that, almost has like that backyard filmmaking.
Yeah, it's total backyard
feel to it,
filmmaking. I mean, that's why I was able to edit it that night, show them the next morning with music and everything, and they were just like, oh, okay, this is what we're making. That's cool.
That's
wow.
cool. It really brings it back to that El Mariachi kind of thing of when, there's no money left on the table. The only production value you can really bring to elevate it is creativity, the ideas, how you solve things, all that kind of stuff. So it's like the shorter the shooting days got, the more passionate and like crazy the project got. It really, really came to life.
And the actors are just way into it. Ben was great. He was way into shooting fast and loose. William Fichtner just loved being Del Rey, and he was just like, I just love this.
I could tell by watching him.
And he's just like, I don't even say anything. I just have to stand there and just send it out. Yeah. You're doing the rest, right? And I would show it to him. He's like, I don't usually like looking at myself, but I like looking at this. This is cool.
Man,
intense.
He's hypnotic, He's like, pulls you in.
I mean, he affected the music so much, because I see the scenes and then it's like, oh, he's like a whole different feeling, and the whole tone shifts when you look at this guy, and it's like, that really, I got to be able to write to that, and that, all his whole themes and stuff really came from that.
That's amazing. Was that something that, I'm sure, I don't know if he had any input on that, but was that something that he was
proud of or excited about?
I mean,
Because
when we watched it, we had like the screening at South by, and he got to see. He was like, "Man, that was really great." And I just told him, I mean, you writing for you was like, that really was the inspiration. Was just, I mean, he brought so much to it.
I think later when he saw the footage all cut together and saw just how powerful he was, he just knew that character needed to have a theme of some way, and it was very thematic, and something that triggered something every time you would see him or feel that he was around, so that you knew what the stakes were. And
I mean, the moment we were getting scenes of it, we were already talking about that. Like, look, he just needs like something, he comes on screen, it's got to shift. And so that.
And it does.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, it's like a furnace.
There's a safe deposit box.
Is that the target?
Box 23.
Not away from Hypnotic, but just to kind of talk more about your entire career. I'm a huge fan of your movies.
Oh, thank you.
The Faculty is a personal favorite film of mine.
Oh,
man.
I love that movie very much.
I love that it gets some love now. I didn't back in the day.
But it always has deserved it. I'm glad that it's finally getting
Well,
out
I
there.
think I know why. It is because of the title. And I told the studio, you can't call a movie The Faculty if you're trying to lure a young audience. There was a movie with Nick Nolte when I was in high school called Teachers. I was like, what kid's going to want to go see a movie about teachers? It's like, you want to get far away from these guys. So I don't care. And all the trailers are you're trying to sell this red herring that the teachers are the bad guys, and kids could care freaking less. So people would discover it later, and then,
Once
So
we
I
were
had a
members of
different
the
title for it.
faculty ourselves, we started.
Well, I had a different title. I called it. I refused to call it The Faculty. I told them, I'm going to force you guys to call it something else. So every time we clap the clapboard, it's going to say Untitled until you guys come up with a better title. Because if you call it that, it's going to be death. Wow. And so I came up with my own titles. I knew they wouldn't come up with titles. And my favorite one, which of course it's not going to sound right because you're so used to The Faculty.
Sure.
But in the day, Faculty sounded so wrong to me. It was The Others, and they said, because it was kind of outsider and type thing, and they said, no, we're just going to make it The Faculty. And then they stole it and used The Others on another movie of theirs that didn't have a title.
Yeah, with Nicole Kidman. Yeah, wow.
But yeah, I think that title got in the way for a lot of people who didn't see it initially, but then saw it later and liked the movie. The movie sold itself. So I love hearing that people like that movie.
It's fantastic.
So we had a lot of fun.
movie.
That was my first movie shot in Austin.
Oh, really?
Before Spy Kids, yeah. Because Desperado, Dusk Till Dawn were all shot somewhere else.
Wow, okay.
And Mariachi was shot in Mexico.
Yeah, of course.
So that was the first time I wrangled a crew together to get them ready for Spy Kids and try this visual effects company that I was going to use on Spy Kids. Faculty only had 50 effect shots, and that was kind of our learning tool before doing Spy Kids.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. Now, when it comes to casting, I mean, you've worked with some of the best actors in the world. For Hypnotic, what made Ben the right person for the role for you?
Well, first it turned into something else later, but at first it was just, I needed a star. I needed a big star because that's what Hitchcock would do. He'd get Cary Grant, he'd get Jimmy Stewart, he'd get Sean Connery, he would cast stars. So it needed to be star-driven piece. And he signed on, and we're both from the 90s. We're both, from that indie spirit thing. Yeah. So he was into the whole indie thing. He was a father. His intensity, which would be great because that character has to be so driven and so pushable that he doesn't even need a hypnotic ability. You just say, sit your ass down, and you would sit down.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, I'll do what you say. So I needed that. That was always part of the character, was that he felt like a hypnotic because he just was so driven and people would just move out of his way.
Sure.
No mind tricks needed, he was just that tenacious. But yet he had to have the warmth of a father and be a husband, and Ben is that. He's always talking about his kids. He's always like, well, I can't this weekend because spend time with my kids. I was like, man, that's a plus. That's a plus with this character.
Perfect.
But then when the movie just kept getting shut down because of COVID, and we ended up with a shorter and shorter schedule, he was the man because he was from that background, shooting fast and loose. He remembers what that was like and really embraced it and loved how fast we were able to shoot it, and the energy. He knew the energy would be, something we couldn't replace on a longer movie where you're sitting around in a trailer waiting for shots to be lit. We had to just move. That's why I brought a co-DP on, but that's why I'd stay being a DP, because it's like, yeah, this is really pretty lighting, but we're shooting, roll. We're not tweaking any more stuff. We got to move. We got 50 more of these we got to get by the end of the day. And you have actors that can do that. That's the best.
Hands up! But I'm the wrong man. Where is she?
In the case of this film, I think Ben almost seems more in his element than when you see him in a bigger studio movie, you know, because he's kind of using himself as his tool, you know. Everything from his voice was a little bit more gruff, a little different. I really liked that. The way he walked, you know, it was very he was a very physical presence. I'm curious, when you were writing the movie, did you guys kind of know, was that like, this is for Ben, or is that like, you know, we just need someone who can do these things, meet these qualities?
Well, we got him pretty quick.
Name for it, yeah.
We got him like we got him like in 2017, 2018. We got him signed on, so he was already on, maybe from 2018, 2019. So we already knew it was going to be him as we wrote the later stages. But early on, the model was Mickey Rourke.
Ah,
That's
okay.
why it's called Rourke.
Yeah.
It's spelled like Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, it is spelled.
It was like Mickey Rourke, not Mickey Rourke to be in the movie, but Mickey Rourke, as I remembered him, like an Angel Heart.
Sure.
You know, that kind of really charming, kind of really cool, driven detective. I just thought that was the model, with somebody like that. That's a real leading man. That's a star. So whenever I made this movie, I'd want to find the next like Mickey Rourke type guy, and that I always meant to change the name, and then it just kind of stuck. Rourke, it was, but everybody always wrote for Mickey Rourke back then because they just remember him in the 80s and the 90s. And I'd already worked with him on Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but it was more that idea of like that kind of guy that's just very magnetic, and that you could just follow on a journey through a rabbit hole of twists and turns, and always have this human element that you can relate to. So he still has a very everyman feel, like a Jimmy Stewart would in a Hitchcock movie, or a Cary Grant. He played like every man in North by Northwest. Just that someone you could say, okay, that's me. I'm the eyes through the movie, this very upside down world.
I know you called the tip man on the bank heist. Who the hell are you?
What makes total strangers pull off an elaborate bank heist? Are you familiar with the concept of hypnotics?
Hypnotics.
What is something that you would tell somebody who's on the fence about seeing Hypnotic? What's something that you would want them to know before going into it?
I mean, it's a twisty, turny thrill ride in the Hitchcock sense that it shows you things that you haven't seen before in a new way. So if you like being surprised, don't find out what it's about. Just go see it, and you'll be surprised. You'll definitely be surprised if you haven't, listened to any spoilers or anything. It's a movie about someone who's just completely uncatchable, a driven detective trying to solve a series of bank robberies that this person may or may not have been involved in the disappearance of his daughter. And he has to loop some other people like Alicia Braga in to help him solve it, and nothing is as it seems.
Nothing is as it seems in this whole movie. I was so surprised the entire time. Well, again, I really loved the movie. I think that part of the allure for me, and I think what's gonna be part of the allure for a lot of people, is there's a specific. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a specific sequence in the film where we take the first scene of the film and kind of show it to you again a little differently.
Right.
What was it like filming that? It felt like there was a lot of. I know you mentioned there's a lot of $2 tricks. What was it like, kind of making that, because it's a turning point in the movie. It's where the curtain's being pulled back. It looked like watching people make a movie out of the context of making a movie. It's hard to explain, but it felt like it was a filmmaking lesson or a look behind the curtain. What was it like on that day filming that?
Oh, we were just laughing because knowing how things were going to intercut with a $2 trick was going to be so fun, because it's like, this is what we do as filmmakers. What we see on set all day. We're talking here, but we see, there's a camera guy there, there's a guy there monitoring sound, and we're here pretending like they're not there. I like that aspect of the movie, that it's what we do as storytellers. It's what we do as filmmakers. And what audience does to themselves. They'll buy a ticket to go on purpose and sit in a dark theater and have a hypnotic construct put around them long enough. Filmmaker has to be manipulative enough to make them believe that all these actors they know are actors are saying dialogue they know was written. Take them on a journey where they believe it long enough to be emotionally involved, either cry or laugh or get scared or cheer at the end. And they do it for the spell of that movie. And when you pull back the curtain and see the sets and see the props, that's all very exciting for people. So doing the movie was very much like that. That's what we do. We're trying to, it's very meta that it's happening within.
Totally.
But it's really, that's what makes it kind of exciting. If you're a film buff, you'll like that about it, that it's about filmmaking in a way, and what we do to each other with stories, and try to put people there to get them to empathize and believe what they're seeing is real. So that's what's fun about it.
Hypnotics have the ability to influence the brain, sound, voice,
Need a light?
locking eyes. Hypnotics use them to make you see a version of the world that doesn't exist.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Flicks. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully, you guys can see me okay. And as usual, do let me know in the comments. What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. Man, it has been a hell of a week, hasn't it? As usual, feels like it has to me anyway. Let's put on some music. Start the show off the right way. How's everyone doing? How was everybody's week? What do you guys got going on this weekend? Felt like kind of a... I would ask, normally at the beginning of the show, I ask what movies you guys are going to see this weekend, but it seems like kind of a dead time for movies lately, History lover, yeah, we're going to get all up into that. But before we do, hello, happy Friday, and welcome to Friday Night Flicks. My name is Kier Gomes, and as usual, I'm going to be your host who will pin your comments, potentially butcher your names, and Lord knows what else. We'll see what we get into. So yeah, we're definitely going to be talking some Star Wars stuff. It looks like some of you are already well aware of that. History lover got us off to a good start. We're definitely going to get into that. That's one of the bigger topics we're going to be talking about tonight. But I wanted tonight to be kind of loose. We had Taylor on last week, which was a lot of fun. We talked about Die Hard, the entire franchise. And I felt like for this week, since it's been a little slow, and if I'm being perfectly honest, post-Halloween, I always get a little bit burnt out on watching movies because I always end up watching so many during the Halloween season. So I haven't been watching much. I've been kind of taking it easy. And so I thought tonight would be fun to just chill with you guys, spend some time in the comments, maybe answer some questions. I've got a few surprises for you guys. And of course, we'll do our weekly giveaway. So if any of that or all of it sounds interesting to you guys, then you're in for one hell of a show. I'm feeling really good. I'm having a pretty good day. I had a pretty terrible week, but today feels good. Today feels right. Yeah, and hey, thank you all so much for being here. It looks like some of you guys are already popping off in the comments, so thank you so much for that. Hello, everybody. Yeah, Heretic is the big release this weekend. That's the big one. I definitely was not extremely hyped for that movie, but early reviews kind of have me intrigued. Excuse me. So now I really want to see it. Grand Admiral Thrawn saw Gridlocked yesterday. Very much enjoyed it, apparently. Maybe that'll make its way onto my watch list here eventually. Yeah, okay, look, we got some validation here. Thank you. Glindlebro83. See, I'm already fucking up names, guys. We're off to a great start. Glindlebro83 says same every November. I'm burnt out. Yeah, dude. I think what happens for me, just to keep it, a buck with you guys, is that I cram in all of these movies for Halloween. There's always new movies that I want to watch, and then there's like movies that I'm excited to rewatch, and then there's like movies that I've seen 100 times that are kind of just an obligatory rewatch that for some reason I just have to do, Sometimes these are movies that I've seen so many times that I don't even necessarily feel like watching them, but during the Halloween season, it's like, when else am I going to put this thing on, I'm not going to be specific just so that way you guys don't turn on me so early in the show. Maybe later we'll revisit the topic. Now, see, Powder Keg, I am a Christmas movie guy. I'm very much a Christmas movie guy. I love Christmas. I love Christmas movies. But the month of November, that's where I gotta chill. I do all my Halloween movies. I take November to do other things, really sink into work, check out, catch up on comics in November. And then when it gets to December, it's Christmas season and I'm watching all those fucking movies. Okay. Ooh, the Major Blazer. The Major Blazer, welcome back. Thank you for being here once again. I saw the TV Glow was odd. That's actually, it was on my list this year of movies to check out. I saw the TV Glow. In my official review of it, I think I called it a modern day Donnie Darko, which I stand by. I've seen the movie now 3 times, and I stand by. It kind of just is a new. It's not about the same thing, but it has all the same. It just very much feels like a Richard Kelly piece, you know, in a good way. I Saw the TV Glow. Highly recommend. If you guys are still looking for horror movies post Halloween that you can watch pretty much anytime, I Saw the TV Glow is a good one. It's very cerebral. There's some really nice imagery, shot really, really well. I think it's one that's good, truly. Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, says Grand Admiral Thrawn. You know, that's one I don't do every year, but I have seen it. You know, it's kind of one of those classics that, you know, I would watch over at like my grandparents' house. My Thanksgiving classics, if you guys want my 2 Thanksgiving recommendations, I mentioned these last week: Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the greatest Thanksgiving movie ever made, and then the second greatest Thanksgiving movie ever made, which is Dutch. Amazing film. Amazing. Okay, if you haven't seen Dutch with Ethan Embry and what's his name, O'Neill, you know from everything, from Dutch. Michael Keaton's Knox Goes Away was a pretty decent thriller, says Brian Stevens. You know, I haven't seen it yet, but I know that Chris Bumbray reviewed it, and he interviewed Keaton about that movie, and I think James Marsden too. I like the concept. That's one of those movies where the idea for the plot sounds really good, and then I just wasn't sold enough by the trailer to check it out. But I have heard a few good things. Bumbray really liked it, so, and then we've got here a little vote of confidence from you. I'll check it out. I'll get to it. Julia W. saw the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special last year. It was pretty good. I loved it. I thought it was really funny. I thought the Drax and Mantis kind of like, I don't know, the extension of their friendship was really well done. And I think James Gunn just knows how to do these kind of silly, funny, otherworldly, you know, bombastic films. And I think the holiday special was awesome. It was just that. Ed O'Neill, thank you. See the wave. I knew it was O'Neill. I couldn't remember if it was Ed or John. Don't come for me. I know he's from, Married with Children and Wayne's World. Okay, don't and Modern Family. Don't come for me. I just forgot his first name. So guys, let's take a look at some movie news. I'm gonna keep taking your comments as we go, but there's been, I think, more interesting things going on in the news, movie wise, than like new releases, you know. And I would rather talk about this than what's going on in the actual news. I'll tell you that much. Brother Fluff Salisbury, don't say much more, because I have not gotten to Teacup yet, but I did hear it was good. I heard good things, so don't get into it too much. Now the first thing I want to talk about, we're going to talk about a variety of things, truly, but one of the things that I know is kind of a big deal for some is this here. Simon Kinberg. I always want to say why do I always want to say Kindenberg? Is it because I'm thinking of Hindenburg? I don't know. But Simon Kinberg, who you guys would know as the director behind some X-Men movies. Well, he directed Dark Phoenix, which I don't love. So we'll leave it at that. But he's been attached. He's written some of the good ones. He was involved with Logan, you know. Don't worry, Grand Admiral Thrawn. I got you, buddy. I am here for you, man. I'm going to get your mind off of the world, and we're going to talk about our world, the world where we can complain about what really matters, which is that the Star Wars movies won't stop getting made. There's a new trilogy in the works, okay? Yeah, Dark Phoenix. Oof. I know. Rick Jones, cartoon man. I feel you guys. Dark Phoenix is rough, man. You know what pisses me off most about X-Men Dark Phoenix? Well, there's a lot of things that piss me off about it. And if you guys haven't seen, Jesse Shade did an excellent revisited video, basically just roasting the movie for Awfully Good. So if you guys are interested in that, go check out Jesse Shade's video. It says everything that I would say, but better. Now, I think that the problem with X-Men Dark Phoenix, the biggest problem, is that visually the movie looks good. It's a good looking movie. And that confuses me because when I watch it, I don't like the movie. I hate the story. I think everything about it is a failure. I think that even if you take what started with X-Men First Class, the kind of prequel trilogy, timeline-wise, I don't really know what you'd call it, but the First Class movies, First Class was amazing. Days of Future Past, amazing. And then we got into X-Men Apocalypse. If you guys don't remember that one, that movie was an absolute mockery of X-Men and the franchise. Especially after Days of Future Past, we were all very let down. And then X-Men Dark Phoenix came out like way later after being delayed, and it was supposed to come out before or after New Mutants, and then New Mutants got delayed. And so in like 2019, they finally released Dark Phoenix, and it obviously didn't meet anybody's expectations. But the weird thing is, if you were to put that movie on mute and just stare at the movie, you might get confused into thinking it's pretty good because it looks kind of good, you know? So that's my take on X-Men. But anyway, the director of Dark Phoenix, Simon Kinberg. Simon Kinberg, ladies and gentlemen, has not only signed on to direct another Star Wars movie, but they're saying he's going to, write and produce a new Star Wars trilogy, which I think kind of means, at least if I'm reading the signs correctly, the new definitive Star Wars. I think it's going to be canon to whatever the last three that we got were. You know, I don't think these are spin-off movies, because the fact that it's a trilogy kind of leads me to think that this isn't going to be like a Rogue One or a spin-off like Solo. I think this is going to be the new Star Wars movies. Here's why I want to talk about this, because, and you know, I don't want to say anything too controversial, but here's something you guys might not know about me, about old Kier. I'm not that big into Star Wars, I guess. And I don't want to lose any of you this early in the show, but truth be told, my history with Star Wars is a little bit weird. I love the original trilogy. I've seen episodes 1, 2, and episodes 4, 5, and 6 so many times since I was a little kid. I love those movies. I don't love the prequel trilogy. I don't know, is it a hot take anymore to not love them, or is it like cool to love them now? I never know. It's so funny with me because I never liked those movies, and there was a time when I was weird for not liking them, and then there was a time when I was normal for not liking them, and now it feels like we're back. It's the same thing that happened with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, you know? Like, I thought the first one was okay. I thought the second one was kind of trash. And then now it's like, if I say that I don't like those movies, people think I'm some asshole. Like I personally am the one who fired Andrew Garfield or something, you know? So I don't know. Is it cool? Is it a hot take anymore to say that the prequel trilogy of Star Wars sucked? Sorry to get into a rant this early. But I didn't like them, okay? So because I didn't like the prequel trilogy, I just, by the time, was it The Force Awakens? Whatever episode 7, I don't know, I guess whatever episode 7 was, by the time that came out, I just wasn't there for it. I just was like, I don't know, it's been a long time. I don't particularly care about anything that happens after, you know, episode, how do you call them now, episode 6? I don't know, whatever happens after Return of the Jedi, I stopped caring, you know, in the timeline. So I never got around to the new trilogy. And then I heard, like, you know, whatever the next one was, like, what was it? It was like the rise of, what are the movies called? You guys help me out. This is how much I don't know of Star Wars. We've got, I know the first 6, but then for the new ones, what is the Force Awakens, right? Or the Revenge of the Force. I don't know. But anyway, I don't love them. And the whole point is, I stopped watching them. Then I heard Rogue One, when that came out, was really good. So I saw it, and lo and behold, I did enjoy it. Okay? And then by that time, there was The Last Jedi. Thank you. It was The Force Awakens, The Rise of Skywalker, and The Last Jedi, right? Or you could swap them around. But thank you. And then by that time, I'm hearing that, oh, you should see this Clone Wars TV show. It's really good. And I had kind of missed out on that as well. So I watched some episodes of that, and guess what? Also really liked it. So I'm thinking now, okay, the prequel trilogy sucked, but everything else is good. Maybe that's what's going on here, because I liked Rogue One. I liked some of the Clone Wars, the stuff that I saw. The only thing I didn't like was Phantom Menace and, episode 2 and 3. Revenge of the Sith, or I don't know. Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. That's what it is. So I then was like, maybe I should open my mind a little bit. Maybe I should watch this new trilogy, right? Adam Driver's in it, and seemed like, I don't know, I like John Boyega. It just seemed like something maybe I could get into, knowing that it didn't seem like it was as bad as the prequels. Well, guess what, guys? I just never watched them. I liked Rogue One. I didn't like Solo. I think the Han Solo, I think it was just called Solo, a Star Wars story. I didn't like that one that much. It wasn't great. And so I just kind of stopped caring. And then by the time the kind of new trilogy was wrapped up, now I'm hearing this, and I personally, I don't feel any like excitement, but it makes me curious. It makes me wonder, Star Wars fans, how do you guys feel about this? Because it looks to me like nobody wants this, even Star Wars fans. And I know for sure that, like, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you would know better than me, but I know for sure that the 9 like main movies that we have already, not including the spin-offs, have been a cohesive, like, full story, right? So in order to do more, they'd have to start something new anyway. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about this, because to me, it reads as we're committing to a new Star Wars trilogy, which means some kind of new arc that they've already got planned. And I don't know. I want to know. I feel like normally this would be breaking the internet. People would be stoked. They'd be like, oh my God, there's a new trilogy announced. But now people are like, we get it already. There's a new Star Wars thing every month. Is this going to be just more of that? Is it too oversaturated? Maybe that's my question. Maybe I'm like, is Star Wars, are we still excited for that? Or is it something that maybe has tuckered out, with comic book fatigue and all of this, Julia W says, but don't worry, still working on my crossover live action and animated movie. It's going to be huge, like huge of characters. Oh, my name is Austin Garcia, writer, producer, and actor. What? Well, hello. Julia W says her name is Austin Garcia, so hello. Hi. Thrawn has a hot take. Let me get to it. Let's see. This is a good one. Grand Admiral Thrawn says, in my humble opinion, episodes 7, 8, and 9 should have been based on Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy. I've heard one other person say this. I'm not familiar enough to comment on that, but I have a buddy who loves Star Wars, or maybe it was my brother. I don't know, but I've heard this before, and when that person said it, I can't remember if it was my brother or my friend, but when that person said it, there were many men in the room who went, ugh. So do with that what you will. That's how I would describe extreme fandoms of anything, is like, you keep giving us these things, eventually we're going to get tired of them, and then we're going to get annoyed with this thing that we loved. And I feel that that's where Star Wars is approaching, where now the generic reaction for a Star Wars fan when they hear about yet another Star Wars thing coming out is they go, because you got every week with these Disney Plus shows, and it's the same thing with Marvel, man. There's just so much going on. What the hell are we doing? History Lover agrees with you, Grand Admiral. That's got to feel good. It's got to feel kind of good. All right, let's keep it moving with the news. I got other stuff that I saw that was interesting. But yeah, Star Wars fans, let me know. Do you want this trilogy, this Simon Kinberg trilogy? Are you excited? Would you be excited if it was somebody else? I don't know. I just don't know. But whilst we're on the topic of Star Wars, I wanted to talk to you guys about this, which I found pretty cool. This is just it's a small thing, small little article, but it says the Schwartz is with, that's nice play on words. The Schwartz is with Josh Gad, as he says everyone who read his Spaceballs 2 script has been blown away. Wow. Now that either means that they love it, or he has let them read the script and then shot them immediately. And I'm guessing it's the first one. That's my guess. So what do we think? This one I actually am excited for, because while I'm not the most well-versed authority on Star Wars, I'm a pretty reliable source when it comes to parody. Okay, and of course, the OG Star Wars parody, the only one really worth talking about, is Spaceballs. One hell of a parody movie. And Josh Gad, this is an interesting thing. Josh Gad has kind of this reputation with, Disney already. He's kind of got this working relationship with Disney where he's kind of in a lot of Disney movies. And this is a direct parody of Star Wars, which is now owned by Disney. Doesn't seem to be a conflict. I also love Spaceballs. Thank you, history lover. Well, here's the thing, Brian Stevens. I have good news for you. Josh Gad is working. Let me pull up the article again. Josh Gad is actually working with Mel Brooks on the movie. Let me pull up where it says. I read it earlier. Let's see. Gad is a multi-talented. Speaking of Gad. Yeah, okay, check this out. Listen to this quote. Everybody who's read it has been blown away. The process of working on this with and alongside Mel Brooks has been one of the highlights of my career. That is kind of the validation that this needed to be something we could get excited about. I agree. This is going to be fun. I hope he didn't know. So I actually agree. Benjamin Dover, which again, sweet name. I know I tell you that every week, but sweet name. That is kind of the thing, right? So to your point, it could be that the people that he's shown this to are people that he's working on the movie with, or that he knows or has collaborated with. And that could, of course, skew, what people think of it. However, I think that because, and I think you said it best, you said it's a tough business. I think because it's a tough business, people look out for each other in that way. I think if Josh Gad, for example, had a garbage script for this movie, I think if he had showed it to 10 people, even if they were 10 friends, one of those 10 would have been like, dude, don't do this. This is bad, because people want things to be good. At least your friends do, hopefully. I don't know. So I don't know. I have faith. I think it's going to be good, but there's some interesting material here, quoted from Josh Gad that I kind of want to read. So when pressed for more details, Joe Blow, we're pressing for those deets all the time. Gad continued, "It was sort of a fever dream that this all happened. Mel has been so unbelievably supportive, involved, and electrified by this because it's the one that surprisingly got away. It's a dream to be able to finally make the reality prophesized by Yogurt in the first movie happen. I can't say more than that. I can't tell you anything beyond the process at this point. But I can tell you that every hour, every day right now is spent making this project closer and closer to reality, and I think we're nearing the end zone here." So this movie, I think, is happening. And I think Josh Gad can't say everything that he knows. Obviously, story-wise, there's a lot of stuff we're not going to find out for a while. But I think if the script is nearing completion, he's got Mel Brooks presumably producing the picture. My guess is they're already getting ready to make this movie, and he just can't say yet who the studio is or when or, what they're going to call it or whatever the case is. I hope they call it something more clever than just Spaceballs 2. Because since it's kind of a Star Wars parody, it'd be funny if they picked like some convoluted fucking subtitle like the Star Wars movies do, where there's like Star Wars and then just a really intense fucking sentence after it that you're gonna mix up because you also call it Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but then I think Episode 1 should be the first Star Wars movie with Luke Skywalker, which is Episode 4. I'm fucking sick of it, but they should call it. How are we back on Star Wars? Yeah, they should bring back Dark Helmet. Rick Moranis. I wish Rick Moranis was my dad. I'm just gonna say that. If by any chance, Rick, you're watching this, buddy, I'm not too old to adopt. I'm 31. There's a lot of growing up I still got to do, and I would like to do it under your wing if possible. All right, let's start a petition to get hashtag Rick Moranis adopts Joe Blow. That's what we need. Now we're talking. History Lover has a good title suggestion here. Maybe this will be it. Spaceballs 2: The Revenge of the Schwartz. That would be cool. The search for more money. That's what they should call every Star Wars project now. Episode 19: The Quest to Make It Feel New Again. The Quest to Make It Feel New Again. That's what they should call it. So I'm excited for this. This one, I do want to know your guys' opinion. For those of you that like Spaceballs, I can only assume you're excited for this, just because if you look at Josh Gad, that's good credentials. He's very funny. But also Mel Brooks being attached could be good. Could be really good. They just did, what did they just, was it the Life of Brian? They just did a second Life of Brian or something like that, right? And I think people enjoyed that one. We actually interviewed Mel for that, I believe. We spokes to him. Did you guys like, by the way, let me ask you that. Did you guys like the Robert Rodriguez featurette at the beginning of the show? Because usually I try to put just like one of my videos, from the channel that's either relevant to the topic or the vibe of the show. But for this one, because I figured I'd be loose, just kind of mostly talking to you guys in the comments, I thought I would start it with a personal video. And that pre-show, that 20-minute little featurette, was a very special thing for me, a very special experience. It was my first time traveling for Joe Blow, and it was to meet Robert Rodriguez, who's easily one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. If you guys don't know who Robert Rodriguez is, my favorite movie of his is The Faculty, which I know is not the popular opinion, but he also made El Mariachi. He made Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Desperado, obviously. The Spy Kids movies, for what it's worth. Some of those movies are good. Good stuff. Yeah, History of the World. Thank you, History Lover. You're coming in clutch for me. Yes, they just made a sequel to that. And Mel Brooks was involved, and I think it was it with the Super Troopers guys? I think it was. I think they made the History of the World 2 with Broken Lizard, I think, which is cool. Speaking of the video before, Hypnotic was a bit underrated, but I feel most of Robert Rodriguez's movies are. Listen, actually, you know what? I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys the story. This is actually really cool for those of you that are like me and just love movies in general. You'll appreciate this story. So, I like Hypnotic. I have a huge poster. Maybe I should put the poster up somewhere, but I have a huge poster signed by Robert Rodriguez that I got at that event. But here's what happened. This was just really cool. So it was right after CinemaCon in 2022, I think. Right after CinemaCon 2022. And I had just finished editing a bunch of videos for CinemaCon. And it was kind of every time we go to CinemaCon, I know it's like this for Joe Blow, and I'm positive it's like this for other outlets. But when you go to CinemaCon, you get a lot of information shoved in your face at those panels. And so for us, that's a lot of content that we want to get out to you guys so you know what to get excited about. Anyway, editing those things, sometimes it just means you got to work weird hours. So you can, edit that video quick, get it done for the next day. So my birthday was coming up. It was my 30th birthday. I believe. Yeah, it was. Wow. And so I get an email. It was like a forwarded email, and Troublemaker Studios, which is Robert Rodriguez's movie studio in Austin, they were getting ready to release Hypnotic, and they had like a super small budget for marketing and promotion. And part of that was they wanted to fly out a few movie critics and just, friends of, the studio to come check out the movie early and check out the studio that it was made in, which is Troublemaker Studios. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Troublemaker Studios. And I agree. Faculty is a classic. Absolutely. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I love it so much. So anyway. So they forwarded the email to me, producer of the show, John, and executive producer of the everything. I get an email and they basically go, "Hey, do you want to do this? As kind of a birthday present / reward for doing so well at CinemaCon or editing the footage." and I was stoked. So not only was I getting flown out to go to this thing, it was kind of like an invite only. Like, we got invited, but it didn't have to be me from Joe Blow that went. So it was really cool that I got to go, and just really special because of how much Robert Rodriguez and his career has meant to me. His book, if you guys haven't read it, for filmmakers, wannabe filmmakers like me, it's an excellent book. So I get out there, and I know they said that they didn't have much of a budget, but they put me up in the coolest hotel in like downtown Austin. Had this really nice suite. I get up to the room, and they put a gift on the bed for me that was just like waiting for me. There was beer, there was a camera, like a Polaroid camera, which if you've seen the movie, you know why that would be there. And then I was there for like a day and a half. So like I got there that first night, they took me out to this really nice dinner. I got to go to the studio and watch the movie with a few other, I think it was all TikTokers actually. It was like all TikTokers and then me, which felt a little weird, right? Because I'm a YouTuber and everybody else was like, oh, we don't do YouTube, we only do TikTok, you know? So, but anyway, so I watched the movie with like all these other influencers, and I liked it. There was some people that didn't love it, some people that loved it, and I thought it was good. You know, I was kind of right in the middle on it. It felt a little underwhelming the second time I saw it. I think it's one of those movies where once you know the twist, the second watch is a little less, you know, strong, and then you can kind of see some of the flaws. But anyway, overall, I like the movie. And so the next day, they take me out to this dinner. I see the movie; it's good. The next day, there was like 7 of us. All of us get taken back to the movie studio. There's this incredible food. We did this like 2-hour tour of the movie studio where we got to see like everything. We saw the whole set of Alita Battle Angel, which is still there and it exists. It's a real city built in this old, airline hangar. It's just like this big industrial plot, and it's so sick. It looks like an actual city. They filmed some episodes of Mandalorian there. I got to see the workshop where they make all the weapons and special effects and the goo and the guts, the costumes, props from the movie. I got like this whole experience, and then I got to interview Robert Rodriguez, which is the video you saw. And I thought that was kind of an important lesson for me, because after that is when I realized, man, movies definitely are better when you have an experience like that to go with watching them. And I like that movie, but there's no way for me to know if I like that movie as much as I like it because of the experience I had, at least in some ways. And I think the experience I had makes the movie better to me, you know? I still like it though, so it doesn't really matter why I think it. It's just what I think. Anyway, so that was the story. Hopefully you guys liked that video. That was my first time ever interviewing somebody in the industry that I like really looked up to that way. You know, I've talked to a few people here and there, but like that was the first time that I really was like talking to somebody that, you know, I had like studied, you know, and it felt really cool. Really, really cool. Okay, let's keep going with the news though. So we're excited for Spaceballs, I think. I think we are. Now, I guess while we're on the topic of parodies and legacy sequels, I think you guys probably know where I'm going with this. This kind of came out of nowhere about a week ago, a little over a week ago now, that they're rebooting Scary Movie, or not rebooting it, maybe rebooting it, but they're making a new one, and the Wayans brothers are back to work on it. So this is crazy that we're getting kind of these articles back to back like this, but Spaceballs, easily one of the most iconic parody films of all time. I would say it's up there with like the Leslie Nielsen movies, you know? But then the Wayans brothers are kind of the modern kings of parody. These guys are the Leslie Nielsen of now. They've crossed over Leslie Nielsen and the Wayans bros, I think, in Scary Movie 4. And so this is kind of big news. I don't know if you guys like love the Scary Movie movies, the Scary Movie movies, but I do. I love most of them. I even like the 4th one and the 5th one a little bit. But those movies were absolutely at their peak. The first 2 movies, which was when they had the Wayans bros involved in writing it, starring in it, producing it. I think I might be wrong, but I think Keenan Wayans might have even executive produced the first one or directed it. I don't know. I agree, Brian Stevens. They need to make Don't Be a Menace too. But if you're gonna say this, Brian, baby, if you're gonna say it, you gotta say the full name, okay? They need to make Don't Be a Menace to South Central while you're drinking your juice in the hood too. You know what I'm saying? They should just call it Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. That's what they should call it. Dude, that would be sick. That would be sick. You remember that part in Don't Be a Menace when he bets when Marlon Wayans bets Sean Wayans he could get that girl's number, and he just walks up to her and aims a gun at her and demands her phone number. Hilarious movie. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a parody of like Boys in the Hood. It's a parody of like hood movies basically, but they took the basic concept of Boys in the Hood and parodied it, and it's easily one of the funny. It's kind of like I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, but newer, not that much newer, but better in my opinion. Although I know Bum Bray would appreciate, speaking of I'm Gonna Get You Sucka in parody films, let's put on this. You can OD on gold chains in that universe. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that the movie is good. Here's one thing that I know for sure. I hope Regina Hall comes back. I honestly hope, if they're gonna do this, let's workshop this as an idea. I hope that if they decide to bring back Scary Movie in this way, they do what we know they're meant to do, and kind of parallel the way that they rebooted Scream with Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera. I love the Scream movies, and I love the new one. I love Scream 5. I like Scream 6. I got problems with it, but the whole point is, I think it would be fun to do that. Just bring back your legacy characters, your Anna Faris, Regina Hall, what's his name who played Greg. Yeah, Brian, I mean it's not too late for Anna Faris. She could come back. She probably could use the work. I don't know what she's up to, but I would imagine she'd be down to do this. But I just want to see them come back with some attitude. I kind of want to see them come back and flex a little bit, that as much as people love the Scream franchise, and it's I love it, and it's been around for so long, it's kind of on this pedestal of legacy films that are just, it's a classic franchise everyone loves. Scary Movie is right there flexing with Scream, because there's like just as many movies now. There was more Scary Movie movies for a while. That's pretty cool. So I think personally, I'm excited for this. If Marlon and Sean Wayans are involved, that's the big thing for me. Is, I love Anna Faris. I would love to see, or at least I love her in those movies. I would love to see her back as her character, who was just named Cindy. I would love to see. I'd love to see the return of Doofy, because if you remember, like, they didn't catch Doofy at the end, so they kind of did like the Usual Suspects ending with Doofy in the first one. That would be a fun way to bring it back. And yeah, dude, just to see Marlon Wayans come back and be Shorty. Oi, son, it's me, Shorty. Oi, son. Hopefully you guys don't find that impression grating, but that's how I'm sure it was a terrible pitch for my voice, but that's the best Shorty impression I could do. And Stephen O'Donnell says that their Paranormal Activity spoofs, which were Haunted House and Haunted House 2, were dodgy. Are you British? Or Irish, Stephen O'Donnell? Or Scottish, maybe? Dodgy? Did I? I liked the first one. I thought Haunted House, the first one, I thought that movie was hilarious. Like, truly funny. I really loved it. I love Cedric the Entertainer in that movie as the pastor. He's like, oh, she's doing that Busta Rhymes thing, and then he starts rapping. It's so funny. He like battle raps with a demon. It's good. It's good. If you like those movies, you'll like that movie. Okay, let's see what else we get. Oh, guys, I wanted to save this one. Another thing that I have kind of an interesting checkered past with is Christopher Nolan movies. Listen, I'm at a point now, we're more than halfway through the stream. I hope I don't lose any of you over this, but I'm going to say something that some of y'all aren't going to like. You're Irish, Stephen O'Donnell. Well, then, happy to have you here, lad. You like that? Hey, is my name common in Ireland, Stephen O'Donnell? Kier? Is the name Kier common out there? Because it's not common here in the States. But I've heard that in Ireland, you'll meet people with my name. So let me know. So my past with Christopher Nolan movies, look, there's some Christopher Nolan movies that I adore, okay? Off the top of my head, The Prestige is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. The Dark Knight, love it. I actually love Interstellar. I know not everybody loves that movie, but that movie is very much for me. That is a good example of movies that aren't for everybody, but are for some people. I love that movie. Made me cry, like epic tears. Interstellar. Matthew McConaughey just brings it out of me. But I don't love Christopher Nolan the way that some people that love movies love it. Like, I'm not film bro level obsessed with Christopher Nolan. I don't love Tenet. I don't like Inception. I don't like Inception. I'll just say it. I don't like it. I don't like Memento. And I know that that's a hot take because I know people love that movie and swear by it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these movies, by the way. I'm saying I don't like the movies. That's all. Christopher Nolan is obviously one of the greatest filmmakers ever, period. Oppenheimer, you know? There's proof out there that he's the best filmmaker. I'm just saying he's not my favorite and he doesn't always hit with me. Some of his movies don't hit at all. But I did get a little bit intrigued recently when I heard that Tom Holland was rumored to be starring in a Christopher Nolan horror period piece about vampires. What? So let me just think of Christopher Nolan in your head, okay? Grounded, but epic, cinematic, what? And then you hear he swooped up an A-lister. Checks out. You believe that. He swooped up an A-lister to do a period piece movie. Checks out. I believe that. Christopher Nolan got an A-lister to do a period piece horror movie. Now I'm excited because I'm like, oh, Christopher Nolan doing a scary movie? All the way yes for that, please. And then it's a Tom Holland period piece horror movie about vampires. Probably the least grounded thing he's ever made a movie about, and he's made a movie about time travel. So multiple. So y'all, I don't know what to think, but what I do know is that they just released more news that said Zendaya and Anne Hathaway joined the cast of this next event film. Little is known, okay? They're keeping it all under wraps. It's just a rumor that it's a horror movie about vampires. I'm not saying that that's exactly what it is. That's just what I heard. But let's really think about this. You've got Tom Holland and Zendaya, duh, you know? Duh. Maybe it's a secret fucking Spider-Man movie. Maybe. Yo, here's what happened. Here's what it is. Mark my words. Prediction time. I'm going to pull myself up so you can see. Listen to me. Here's what they're going to do. This movie, it's Marvel. Marvel, they finally did it. They got Nolan. They finally got to him. Kevin Feige went in there with his fucking hat and he was like, listen, Christopher Nolan, you're the only guy that doesn't want a piece of us. We're going to fix that. You can do anything you want. He said, I want to make the Morbius movie that always should have been. Spider-Man, Tom Holland. MJ, Zendaya. We're going to cast somebody new as Michael Morbius. There's your vampire. And then we'll get Anne Hathaway as like a new hot Aunt May. What do we think? What do you think? Did I nail it? Did I just fucking nail it? Yeah, see, ooh. Yeah, okay, I didn't say this. These are your words, not mine. But this is basically the gist of what I was saying. Yes, I think people love Nolan to a degree where it's like I'm not allowed to say that I don't like Inception. Really? Come on. Inception just like wasn't good for me. I didn't like it. I love the cast. You know? We lost you at Zendaya. You know, I understand the hype with Zendaya. Here's the thing I don't understand with Zendaya. I understand the hype. I think she's a fantastic actress. Challengers, hello. But I don't understand the hype with her and Sydney Sweeney over who's hot. I don't think either of them are that hot. And I think that people talk about them like they're like, you know, like they're like getting cast in these roles because they're these like 10 out of 10 supermodel. I think they're just regular good actors that are good at acting. You know, that's what I think. But okay, check this out. We have a quote from Nolan in regards to this movie. Okay, check this out. We're gonna speculate. I don't really think it's a Morbius movie for Marvel, by the way. You jackals. He says this. I'm drawn to working at a large scale because I know how fragile the opportunity to marshal those resources is. I know that there are so many filmmakers out there in the world who would give their eye teeth, I think it's eye and teeth, or eye teeth, to have the resources I put together. And I feel I have the responsibility to use them in the most productive and interesting way. I think that's, honestly, that kind of sums up Christopher Nolan as a director, does it not? He makes epic movies on like the grandest scale at like the highest level so that other filmmakers that don't have access to that budget can go, well, at least Christopher Nolan's got another banger. At least he's got another $100 million, you know? I like Christopher Nolan, but I think it's funny that he describes his purpose in making movies is to the responsibility to use it in the most productive way for the sake of people who don't have those resources. Maybe he's, I don't know. I know Memento was low budget. Maybe I'm being hasty. I don't know. As you guys can tell, I'm untethered by a specific franchise in this episode, so my rants can go in kind of any direction, you know? Ooh, I knew somebody was gonna, Major Blazer, I knew that one person was gonna, at least one person would get hung up on that. He says, filmmakers out there in the world who would give their eye teeth to have the resources I put together. That does sound, I don't think he meant it the way it sounds, Major Blazer, but it does sound a little like narcissistic, right? But I'm not here to talk about it. I don't think Christopher Nolan meant it that way or anything. Or did he? I don't, maybe. I don't know him. Okay, let's take a break from the news. Let's take a break from the movie news. I do still have more stuff. We got to talk about the Batman 2 and 3 update that we got, which I thought was cool. But we also have a field update from Chris Bumbray, who you guys know as a friend of the show and longtime friend of mine. Chris is sending us an update from Los Angeles, but I wanted to share this with you guys because he sent this to us for the show. I did watch it this time, but it was a little bit cryptic, and I was wondering, maybe you guys can help me solve the mystery of what the hell Chris is doing in Beverly Hills right now. So let me turn down the music, and I'm gonna play the video, and I just want to get your guys' opinion on what Chris could possibly be doing out there.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Bumbray here from Joe Blow, checking into the live stream and say hello to Kier, who I'm sure as usual is wearing at least one gold chain. So I'm in Los Angeles on my way to Beverly Hills for a special assignment, because at the end of the year I vote for awards for the different movies that are up for awards consideration, and one of those movies is having a big screening and to-do this weekend. So I'll be checking in with you guys about what it is pretty soon, but exciting stuff. Hope you all enjoy the live stream, and Kier.
Thanks, Chris. I love you, man. So listen, I'm gonna put the music back on. Let's put some chill hop on, you know, switch it up a little. Who Chris must be rich? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that in our industry, it's easy to get out to Beverly Hills. It's not easy to live in Beverly Hills. You know, we can get out there. I can get invited out to Beverly Hills all day. Can't afford to live out there though. You know, got to be making way different types of money than that. Yeah, Chris does have a nice voice. He's got a very nice, just chill, snowy day voice. Yeah, the Penguin is great. We'll talk about that in a minute. I haven't seen all the episodes yet that are out, but we'll talk about it. But here's what I wanted to know from you guys. So Chris is in Beverly Hills for a screening. That's not uncommon. He's often in LA for movies. But one, he said it's a movie that's being considered for awards in award season. Hard to say what that could be because award season covers a lot of different types of movies, a lot of different types of awards, you know. So who knows? But what I also think is interesting is that if it's a movie that's premiering now to make it for award season at the end of the year, that means it's a movie that hasn't come out yet. That means it wasn't on the festival circuit, I'm assuming. What I want to know is what movie is Chris seeing right now? Because it's cool. It's got to be cool if it's a secret. And I can't think of a movie that wasn't on the film festival circuit that's getting released right now that would be considered for, you know, a real, you know, I don't know, for awards. Let me know if you guys have any theories, okay? Glendale bro, help me out with the pronunciation of your name, pal, please. Glendale bro, 83. I do mess people's name up. That's kind of a bit on the show, but I just feel bad every time, and especially if I do it more than once. But thank you for saying that me and Chris have the best voices. Usually, you know what I usually hear? It's Tyler Nichols, obviously. His voice is hypnotic, to say the least. It's an on-theme adjective for the night. And of course, everybody loves Taylor's radio voice. How could you not? Taylor Johnson. I can't even do it, dude. His voice is so... It's like Taylor's the kind of guy where like he's got a voice where like if you tried, you could probably try to do an impression of him, but it's just so unique. You can't get that sound, you know? I like it. It's a radio voice for sure. Home cinema enthusiast agrees with Stephen O'Donnell that the Penguin is rocking them socks right about now, y'all. Okay. Oh, Glendale. Okay, Glendale bro. 83. Thank you, brother. Actually, before we move on, Mr. Bucketman, I thought maybe it could be Nosferatu as well. But I don't know. Award season? Maybe best makeup. Maybe best makeup or like original screenplay. I don't know. If it's Nosferatu, I'm going to be fucking jealous. It could be Gladiator 2. Brian, I was thinking that as well because we just did some press for them. I was just editing. We just interviewed the cast of Gladiator 2. We interviewed Denzel, Paul Mescal, Ridley Scott. I wanted to send a clip to Tyler because Ridley Scott, we interviewed him, and he was saying some stuff that for those of you that know Tyler and know his history on the show, it's funny to kind of poke Ridley Scott in his face because he's not the biggest fan of Ridley Scott. Red One? I don't think it's Red One. What award? I don't know if Red One is the kind of movie that gets awards consideration, you know? Okay, let's jump back. I'm gonna pull up. Let's move on to let's talk Penguin Batman stuff. You guys seem to be discussing that one quite a bit in the chat. So, first of all, for those of you that aren't watching, the Penguin HBO Max series is coming up. I think the final episode is this week or something like that, or next week. It's coming up on its final episode. I have not seen the whole thing yet. I'm not caught up, so to speak. So please don't spoil anything for me in the comments. And as well, there's probably people that also haven't seen it, so don't spoil anything for them. But here's what happened with me in the Penguin. Now, quick backstory. I love the Matt Reeves Batman movie, The Batman. I loved that movie. I've seen it like 5 times. That's the kind of Batman movie I've been waiting for. I don't think it's perfect. There's other stuff that I need. I need more Bruce Wayne. I need a lot more Bruce Wayne stuff. I would like to see some other characters from the comics get their time. But it's off to a really good start, this Matt Reeves Batverse. Then they announced they're doing a show with Colin Farrell reprising his role as Oz Cobb. They don't call him Cobblepot in this universe. His name is Oz Cobb, which I don't like. They should have fucking called him Cobblepot. And I'm going to say it because nobody else is saying it. Who gives a shit if it sounds cartoony? It's a cool name. Oswald Cobblepot. They're like, well, he sounds too rich. It's your last name. Your last name doesn't have any connection unless it's like Rothschild or some shit. Or Springsteen. That'd be sick. Anyway, the whole point is he gets his own show. Colin Farrell, I love him. I love Colin Farrell. I'm a big fan. I also think he's a very nice man. Okay. I'll never forget one of the most wholesome moments I've had in any of my time as an editor for the channel or as a host of the show or whatever. I was editing an interview we did with Colin Farrell, and it was Jimmy O doing the interview. I love Jimmy O. And Jimmy O had like lost a bunch of weight, so he gets in to interview Colin Farrell, and Colin Farrell not only recognized him, but recognized that he had dropped weight, and like they had like this like 3-minute exchange on a personal level. And Colin Farrell remembered Jimmy O from years before when he was being interviewed for a different movie. And I don't know, something about that makes me like him even more. And that happened before the Batman came out. So ever since then, I've tried extra to be like Colin Farrell, this Colin Farrell guy, because I'm influenced. I think if I like it's, what do they say in Family Guy? I like it when they're nice. It's better when they're nice, So anyway, they should have. I disagree. Powder keg. They should have called him Oz Cobblepot. I don't like Oz Cobb. I don't like it. It sounds too everyday. It sounds too everyday man, which I know that's the point, but I don't like it. It's a change I don't welcome. Anyway, the Penguin was played by Colin Farrell. Everybody sees the Batman. They go, this was an unrecognizable performance, the likes of which we've never seen. You know how like it's when a movie comes out and like when Brendan Fraser played the Whale and everybody was like, it's unrecognizable. And I'm like, no, it isn't. You can still see fucking Brendan Fraser in under all that fat stuff, like under the makeup and stuff. It's still Brendan Fraser. It's a great performance. I'm not saying it's not. It was transformative, but like it wasn't unrecognizable. Brendan Fraser's face when you see it. Okay. However, when I saw the Batman, I walked out of the movie. I'm talking to my wife. I mentioned, and Colin Farrell as the Penguin was really good. And she goes, that was Colin Farrell? She actually didn't know. So to that I say, Colin Farrell had an unrecognizable performance. Come on. So listen, obviously he did have an unrecognizable performance. You really kind of wouldn't know that that's Colin Farrell under all that shit. And his voice is different. His accent, his inflection, everything was different. His physicality was different. It was an unrecognizable performance. So what happens? They go, well, we got to cash in on this. We got to give him his own show. And they did. And the show so far is great. It's great. I love that. I like Gotham when that show was on. It's cheesy, it's corny, but I liked it. But I love that forever now on HBO or anywhere, there's this piece of media that says, here's a Batman story, sort of. It's within the Batman universe, a Gotham City story that can live forever as something fully immersed in realism and gritty Sopranos style underbelly. It's like it feels like it was never supposed to be a comic book related thing. That is pretty fucking special. But that's also why I think they should have still called him Oswald Cobblepot, because now it's like, no, I don't know. I could see somebody who doesn't know a lot about Batman stumbling onto that show and literally having no idea that it's connected other than the few mentions and stuff, So maybe I don't know, but people love it. And the show is really good. If you guys haven't seen it, if the first episode might not get you all the way hooked in, I thought it was good, but it didn't get me all the way hooked in. But as you go, it'll take you where you need to go. It'll get you there. But since the success of the Penguin, it was inevitable. We kind of all expected this to happen. It says here, the Batman spin-off series focusing on Barry Keoghan's Joker is reportedly in the works. Now, we have heard over the last year or two, we have heard all of this before. There was this Joker-centric Arkham Asylum series that was going to be coming out. And then when James Gunn took over the DCU, he's like, well, yeah, we're doing an Arkham series, but it's not in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. It's something else. So it was kind of always this on again, off again. What the fuck is going on with Barry Keoghan as the Joker? Is he going to come back in a movie? He's already in jail. So is there going to be some kind of prequel? It looks like, based on the success of the Penguin, they're going to kind of repeat the formula. And what they aim to do, reportedly, is have a Joker-centric Arkham TV series that will air between the Batman 2 and the Batman 3, which would set up Barry Keoghan's Joker as the kind of Hannibal Lecter overarching villain of the trilogy, and particularly in part 3. I think if this news had come out a month ago, people would be a lot more excited than they are now. You know what I mean? I'm going to address the elephant in the room here, which is Joker Folie à Deux. Okay, I haven't even seen it still. I still have not seen it because I still have not found one person that said it was worth seeing. I love musicals. I should just go check it out myself. I just don't want to waste the time. I didn't really like the first Joker movie. And I'm not really interested in seeing this movie recap those events and critique it with all the same things I've been critiquing it for since I saw it. So I don't know if I'm going to ever get around to that one. But what I do know is that people are not impressed by Joker Folie à Deux. And I think if ever there was a time that Joker fatigue really did set in, it's now. We're at that point. I think the Penguin could be the new Joker in terms of, let's give him some attention. He's got a new show, bring him back for the movies. You know, they just had a great Penguin in the new Batman Caped Crusader animated series. They had like that big, you know, like strong woman as Penguin, that big old woman as Penguin. I loved that. I thought that was great. So yeah, I don't know. I think this Joker show, there's, of course, as with all of these things, it's one of those things that the story is going to develop faster than we can report on it, I'm sure, because that's just how these things go. But right now, they're so hush-hush on what it could be. It's unclear if the Joker spin-off series would land at HBO or Max, though who could tell the difference these days? Keoghan also says Joker could have a limited appearance in the Batman Part 2, possibly setting up the scenario to launch the series. So here's what I'm thinking is the move. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. And then we'll get to the giveaway. I reckon the Batman 2 comes out, which we know it's in development now. The script is almost done. It's been delayed a million times, but it is coming out. I think Reeves sets up something in the Batman 2, maybe kind of a redux of that deleted scene from the first movie with the Joker. He sets that up to kind of say, okay, we got this guy, this Joker, you know, dude, here's like what's up with him and his like, you know, fucked up face and like gnarly attitude and teeth and shit. And they kind of, you know, they set it up to where the, you know, there's intrigue for like exploring Arkham as like its own entity in a series. I'm with that. I think that could be good. I do worry though. Are we doing too much Joker too soon? Is it possible? Is it finally actually there where people are like, more Joker? I don't know. Which one again? Now who? You know, it's kind of messy. I'm with Brian Stevens here in this sentiment. I think we just bring back Mr. Freeze, baby. You know, get Giancarlo Esposito or Bryan Cranston, two guys from Breaking Bad, but both could do the role. Paint them blue, put them in a suit like from Batman the Animated Series, you know, with like a tank on their fucking head, you know, and raise hell. Let's do it. Give it hell. But they won't, you know, because Joker makes money. And honestly, fools like me will still keep going because Batman, you know. I have no regrets. Fuck it. I don't care. All right, guys, let's do a giveaway. Yeah, you guys have been nice. Paish. It seems like the topic you guys got most into today was the Star Wars and Spaceballs stuff, which makes me happy because today's giveaway is Spaceballs, baby. We're doing Spaceballs Blu-ray giveaway, but not just any Blu-ray. We're doing the 25-year anniversary edition Blu-ray. Why? Because of the special features and also because, in my opinion, it has the coolest cover. And for that, you know, and all you have to do if you want to be the one to win this movie, and I'm sorry if the music's too loud, you have to answer this question: which actor was originally cast as Rick Moranis' iconic character Louis Tully in Ghostbusters? So, who was the original casting choice for Louis Tully in Ghostbusters. The first correct answer I see in the chat will be the winner. Okay. Now this one, it's tough. I made it intentionally tough to Google. Okay. So, oh, you know what? Let me put the music back on. That was kind of just like an awkward, silence behind me. Let's go. Who's going to win the Blu-ray? Who is going to win the Blu-ray? I'll show it to you guys again. Ooh, good guess, Major Blazer, but it was not Danny DeVito. That is a great guess, though, and he would have been excellent for that role. Ah, Cartoon Man. It was John Candy. That's right. R.I.P. to the legend himself from my favorite Thanksgiving movie, one Jonathan Candy. All right, Cartoon Man, congratulations. You have won, sir. And if you want to claim your prize, all you got to do is email producer John Fallon. You can email him at arrow@joeblow.com. It's a little easier to type out than my name. So you'll want to do this. Listen, Cartoon Man. You're going to want to go into your email. Draft up an email to arrow@joeblow.com. But don't just say, hey, thanks, I won the giveaway. Provide your shipping details to the man, okay? We're going to ship out your order probably this weekend. We usually do it like next day we ship out. And then that way, you're not waiting forever for your stuff, because that kind of sucks. I always hated that. I've won some giveaways online before, and sometimes it would be like months before I got the thing I won, and by that time it just wasn't as exciting anymore. It didn't feel as cool or special. When you end up waiting a year for something, even if it's free, it seems a little less special that way, except for the Batman 2, of course. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Friday. For those of you guys that have plans to go to the movies this weekend, go see The Heretic and let me know if it's any good. I might check it out myself, but if I don't have time, maybe I'll get drunk and go watch Joker Fully Ado. I don't know. We'll see. Love y'all. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.